Welcome to Soul Sparks with Saima, where deep conversations ignite healing and transformation. Today's guest is our amazing Richard Tierne, who brings a powerful perspective teaching children alike that feelings are not disorders but instincts, gifts meant to guide us. His work shines a light on how unresolved pain creates a hole in the soul and how spiritual solutions, not just medication, can fill it with wholeness again. And this is a conversation about reclaiming our inner truth and nurturing the future of tomorrow, our children. Richard, welcome to the show.
Simon, thank you for a wonderful welcome. I was thinking, keep going. I'm really enjoying this. Keep going. Thank you very
Mhm.
much for having me. It's really nice. My name is Richard Tierney. I'm originally from Ireland. I'm living in northern Thailand. I'm now married now. I've got two grown up. I keep calling them children. They're in university now. One's 21 and one's 17. And I have a really wonderful life. And I'm here to talk to you today about. I saw recently a post where there's 290 million children in the world today diagnosed with mental disorders. And the children are the future of our human race. And if we don't take care of our children and don't encourage them to be more independent and confident, we're dooming the human race for the future. So my whole goal is to
Mhm.
help people to learn how to encourage or to grow confidence in children, that they can become more independent themselves.
Mhm. That's remarkable, Richard. You're doing a wonderful job. So I'm really curious to know, Richard, that you say emotions are instincts rather than disorders. So how can reframing feelings this way change the way children see themselves?
There's lots of things that come into this. You're from India and I'm from Ireland, and we have our spiritual beliefs. I think it's much more stronger in India than it is now in Europe. Unfortunately, I think it's got very watered down. But when I grew up, we had God in our home and God in the school and God in the church, and it was a very every every day in class there'd be a catechism class to teach you about God. I was a part of the growing up that you'd understand about God, and that was a great sense of peace to a child, knowing that there is a creator even though you wouldn't think about it, just knowing this in your subconscious mind that there's a creator and there's a plan, and that if you're
Mm-hmm.
baptized or if you meet Jesus, that your soul is assured. The safety of your soul was really a wonderful gift to be given to anyone, adult or child, to have that, to know that this isn't just a we come on this earth and we live a life and then we die and it's all over, but there's something more to it. So whatever your fate is, there's a belief that there's something beyond this, that we go on to a greater heaven or something. There's something more to life than just selfish self-centeredness. It's all about caring for people and expressing love. That's what makes us all up. We have all these emotions and all these feelings, and it separates us from animals. We have the ability to be empathetic and loving, whereas animals just get get the food for the day and live the next day, and then they die and it's all over. But for human beings, it's more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay, so that's the
that makes
start of it.
sense.
So that's the start
Mm-hmm.
of it. And the second one I like to share is that it's not discussed about very much in society, but it's my own concept, I think, which is very valid. I'd like to share with you. First of all, I start off by saying that our feelings and our emotions are not mental disorders. They are God given instincts that, in the face of any danger, real or imaginary, you can trust your feelings. So if you're in some way feeling unsafe in the home, your body's screaming at you to run away, run away. It's okay to run away if your body's telling you to run away. If your body's telling you to hide in the closet or hide under the bed or go back to bed or hide in the spare room, do that. Don't think it's you're cowardly or you're not unmanly to run away. If your body is telling you that your primary response to danger is to run away, you run away. Another child's primary response might be to fight. And I'm not talking about physical fight because a child can't defeat an adult, but maybe it's a case of just say no or stand up for yourself or scream and shout to draw attention to yourself or write an email or write a letter or tell somebody you're being bullied or you've been teased or there's abuse going on. Tell somebody. You can fight this by getting others to fight your battles for you. You can tell your parents that this is happening in school or tell your teacher or whatever it is. We need to teach children it's okay to feel their feelings. And if they need to fight, they can fight. If they need to fight, they can fight. And then to freeze. The response to freeze is to, generally speaking, is shutting down mentally, physically, emotionally, and like disassociating. So if you have a child in a home and they're too young to, they're not allowed out of the house because they feel they go out the house, they run in front of a car and get knocked down, or they get lost. So they can't leave the house. But the parents are arguing and they don't want to be in the presence of the parents arguing. So they switch off and they go to their fantasy place in their mind. and they disassociate. They go somewhere for 15, 20 minutes where they can feel safe. And it may be swimming with dolphins. It might be running through a green pasture with antelope. It might be, for me, when I was a child, my heroes were John Wayne and Clint Eastwood in westerns. And I'd see myself being John Wayne or being Clint Eastwood, killing all the baddies. And I go into that fantasy
Mm-hmm.
dream world to get away from whatever was troubling me in my life, you know? So it's okay for a child to learn to disassociate and to disassociate when appropriate, not to plan, not to spend the rest of your life disassociating, but certainly in those moments, we have to let children know it's perfectly okay to trust your feelings and to respond accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth
Yes.
response, the mental health professionals say the fourth response is fawn, but fawn basically says that every feeling is a mental disorder, which I don't agree with. So I suggest that the fourth response is acceptance. And again, if you grew up with God in your home, Saima, you would have an understanding of God that you are more than just skin and bones, that you
Mm-hmm.
have a soul, and that there's a part of you that's greater than, and you were created to move mountains. Whether you become Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King, God has a plan for each and every one of us to move mountains. And as long as we can connect to that, we'll understand that God will never leave. Not never leave. We can have suffered horrible challenges in our lives, but God will always see us through to whatever end it is. He'll see us through. He'll always hold us in the palm of his hand if we trust him. So we have to teach children as well how to trust God. So if there's a situation where they can't run away, they can't hide, they can't disassociate, they can say, okay, God, I'm really scared now. Take my fear from me and give me peace for 5 minutes. And suddenly they have peace for 5 minutes. They don't know how it happened, but they just found out by saying to God, okay, God, give me 5 minutes of peace of mind, that something had happened in their psyche and they felt calm for 5 minutes. So these are the kind of things we need to teach children, that there's four
Mm-hmm.
responses that they can use in any situation. And that's by trusting their feelings. And when the feelings are activated or triggered, that's a call to action. That's God saying, okay, your feeling has been triggered. Please now go and take an action. Any action at all, take an action. And that's the idea behind this whole process.
Mm-hmm. That's such an empowering perspective, Richard, because I feel that when children see their emotions as natural instincts rather than something wrong with them, it gives them permission to accept their feelings instead of fighting against them. And it shifts the focus from shame or self blame to understanding and curiosity, which can, help them build confidence and a healthier relationship with themselves. And again, you have framed it really in a powerful way.
Well, we should be a team, Sam, because the way you're framing it now, I'm thinking I should be working with you. You'd be great on my working with me on this. You frame it very well yourself. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, if we can encourage children to trust their feelings and their emotions, they'll grow in confidence. They won't be running
Mhm.
around
Mhm.
scared. They'll think, okay. So it's and the great thing is, especially for I've been working with unmarried mothers or single parents, and if there's danger, it's very hard for a parent to get everything together and worry where the kids are. But if they know their children understand danger is danger and to take action, they know that the children looking after their well-being, that they can look after maybe the baby's well-being or the other things. So they're not putting anything on the child, but they know the child is capable because they trust the feelings and emotions to take an appropriate action, to be ready to go because that's what the danger is saying. So they get
Mhm.
help in that way. So again, if parents feel estranged and they're really they're overworked in the home, too many children or whatever to do, and not enough support from the partner. But if they can teach their children to trust their feelings, then they'll know that there's one less child to worry about because the child knows how to deal with danger. The child knows to fight, flight, freeze, or accept. So, in your lovely introduction, you spoke about the hole in the soul and the trauma, and that's what I want to
Mhm.
talk about next. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, well, I believe again, I believe that we are God's children. I mean, whatever tribe you're from or whatever belief you have, I think fundamentally we have an understanding that God created us and we are his children. And because when he created us, he gave us these God given instincts and these God given responses. So the instincts are our feelings and emotions, and the responses are fight, flight, freeze, and acceptance. But we were given them at birth. And I saw recently, I have to share with you, there's two guys inside a room, and one saying to the other guy, or I think when they cut the umbilical cord, it'll all be over. And this is, no, no, no. I think when they cut the umbilical cord, we're going to experience a whole new life where we can stand on our own 2 feet and we can do our own thing. And the guys, don't be stupid. We depend on the umbilical cord. When that's gone, it's all over. And they're having this argument about like life after death, life after the womb, you know? But that got me thinking, if we're created in God's image and we have these responses, we have them from the very day we're born. So when we're in the womb and we know we're leaving the womb, now it's not a death. We know we don't come out of the womb and we die. We come into a new life.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have that instinctually as a baby or an infant. And what happens is when we're coming out of the womb, our responses kick in. So we're scared, and then we either fight, flight, or freeze. Now, I believe, and I spoke to my mother asking about when I was born, was I fight, flight, or freeze? No. And she said to me, yeah, when you came out of the womb, you were comatose. And the midwife held you up at the ankles, slapped you on the bottom, got a reaction out of you, put you into a blanket, and put you into a cot. But in that moment, I learned that freezing wasn't safe. It was my God given primary instinct to danger. But because at birth it was taken from me by my midwife, unknowingly she took it from me, but that robbed me of the ability to freeze, that I spent the next 10, 20 years in a state of fight or flight. Fight and flight weren't my primary responses, but my freeze was taken from me. I was stuck in a case of I didn't know whether to fight or flight. I didn't want to do either, but I felt I couldn't trust freeze, that I was in a state of fight or flight. And I became a very victim mentality. Now you have a child comes out of the womb. Maybe same when you come out of the womb, you were fighting, you were kicking and fighting and screaming. And the nurse again wrapped you in a blanket and put you in the cot. Okay? Now in that moment, you're robbed of the ability to fight. So now you're told, I can't trust my God-given response to danger of fight. So now I'm stuck in the space of flight or freeze. And you're in your life, you don't know whether to run away or to shut down. You don't want to do either one. Your natural response is to fight, but because it's taken from you from birth, you're stuck in a state of fight or flight or freeze. The next child, maybe your sibling, comes out of the womb
Mm-hmm.
kicking and screaming because they want to flight, and of course they can't flight because wrapped in a blanket and put in a cot. So they're told flight's no good. Now they're stuck between a state of fight or freeze, two completely different, far responses on different ends of the extreme. You know, fights over here and freeze and freezes over here, and that's where they're stuck with, where they want to just run away, and their nature's to run away, but the message by God, this action is they can never run away again. So that's the first trauma that I believe the whole world's population suffer. Now the fourth child comes out of the womb, happy, joyous, and free, not a problem in his face. The midwife gets the baby. Oh, this is a lovely baby. Hands it to the mother. The mother holds the baby to her chest, to her bosom. The hearts connect, and that child goes on to be a Nelson Mandela, a John Wayne, some up the strong silent type, the ones that achieve greatness in life. They have all their responses intact, but the
Mm-hmm.
rest of us, we're missing one of our primary responses. So I'm missing my freeze. You might be missing your flight, your fight. Your sister might be missing her flight, and because of that, we are not a complete human being anymore because we've been robbed of our primary response.
Mm-hmm. I really connect with that, Richard. Like as you said, I too believe we are God's children. And there's something so comforting and grounding in seeing ourselves through that lens. It like reminds us that we are not here by accident, that we are held, loved, and given a purpose bigger than just a day-to-day thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, but now as we're adults, and again, I saw that number, 290 million children. I was really shocked by this. We have an obligation, us adults, to take care of children. And if we could, my idea is that the parents, the first line of defense, 1 hour a day, you decide to have 4 15-minute practices. So you tell your children, you get your parents, you get involved as well, so the parents can see you acting out. And they kind of go, my God, my parents are going to fight. So you say, okay, we're going to have 4 responses now. We're going to do fight, flight, freeze, and acceptance. So for the first 15 minutes, we're going to flight. Don't leave the house. You can run out into the garden, but don't go down the road. Okay. So 15 minutes, I want you to run somewhere. Run into the bathroom, run into your bedroom, climb onto the bed, climb into the wardrobe, hide behind the wardrobe, hide behind the table, run out in the garden and climb up a tree or hide behind a bush. Go somewhere and hide for 15 minutes and just feel safe in those 15 minutes. And when 15 minutes up, I'll ring a little bell, come back in here, and we'll all share what it was like to run away for 15 minutes. And we
Mm-hmm.
teach a child to practice running away. And the next one is, okay, well, let's try fight this time. So rather than fight with anybody, there's one I love sharing with, especially with children. You write a letter to God. So you get a pen and paper and you write down Dear God, at the bottom you write down love Saima. And you do it in your dominant hand. So I'm left-handed. Are you left or right-handed,
Mm-hmm.
Saima? Are you
Mm-hmm.
left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Right hand.
So you right-handed, you write down, Dear God, love Saima. And then on that page, you can give out to God. You can call him every name under the sun. You
Mm-hmm.
speak your truths. You kind of go, God, I hate my life. Why'd you make me whatever? My parents are terrible. You write down
Mm-hmm.
everything you need to say to God, okay, on that page. And if there's gratitude, put it in there as well. Then you turn the page over, and with your non-dominant hand, so for you, be your left hand, for me, be my right hand, you write down, Dear Saima, love God. And because you're writing with your non-dominant hand, it looks like an old person writing it. And because you're writing with your non-dominant hand, it activates your subconscious mind. So it's not you writing; it's God in you writing. So you start put the
Mm-hmm.
pen and paper, and what you write will be completely different what you think you'd write. It's a wonderful exercise to have a conversation with God. You can do this here. You can write this to your parents if you can't speak to your parents, but you like to have a conversation. You do this with your parents, with your grandparents, with your teacher, with your boss, whoever it is, with a sibling, with a bully. And then at the end of it, you burn the letter. You don't show it to anybody. You burn the letter. And so the children get to have a voice. They get to be heard. So by doing this letter practice with everybody they know, so with their mother, with their father, with their big brother, with their bullies, with their neighbors, with the girl who rejected them, or the boy who rejected her, or their teacher, or whoever, they do this letter to and from, and they learn to have a voice and hear other people's perspectives, and that's another way of fighting. So now they've done fight and flight, and then you say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then you ask them all, how is that practiced? And they don't show the letter to anybody. They can burn the letter. You have a bin there and matches. You burn the letter, and it's gone, and they can do this exercise anytime they want. And then the next one for 15 minutes, you talk about flight. So or freeze. Okay, so for this, we're going to just sit here and we're going to go into a dream world. You don't have to leave the room or anything. Where you're sitting, have a dream about something you like. So for me, it's John Wayne. I'm going to be a John Wayne cowboy. For you might be a Harrison Ford Star Wars. You might be a whoever your hero is. You be that person and go off and have a dream. Another one, Sevi Ballesteros playing golf. I could pretend I'm Sevi Ballesteros playing golf, and it felt great. But I get out of my head, so I get out of the space. So you get children to actually practice disassociating for 15 minutes in a safe environment. Then you ring the bell, and we all discuss it how that was. And then you go to the one about God. Okay, now we're going to just try and give God our trouble. So you want to do is you want to say, okay, so this is the prayer I share. Uh, Lord, I've carried this cross since the day I was born. And like your son Jesus, I have faltered more than once. On this cross, I have all the depression and despair of the past and all the anxiety and panic of the unknown future. I give it all to you today for the next 10 minutes. Please take this cross from me for 10 minutes so I can have 10 minutes of peace. And that's it. And then they sit still and they just sit in peace. And then at the end of that, you ring the bell and kind of go, okay, how was that for you? And the children get to experience 4 different responses by trusting their feelings. And then the next day you do the same thing again. You pick 4 different responses, and so on. And so by the end of day 30, by day 10, your children are so confident and and okay in themselves and accept self acceptance that they know how to deal with danger. And that's the idea behind it.
Mm-hmm. That's surely gonna be beneficial for all our listeners out there, Richard. Now, like you often describe mental struggle as a hole in the soul. So I really wonder how does that image help us better understand what children go through when they're struggling?
Well, everyone experiences once everyone has any trauma event. It could be a loss of a loved one, a loss of a pet. It could be
Mm-hmm.
moving homes too often and not being able to put down roots and make friends. It could be bullied or teased. It could be a war. You could be involved in a war like a veteran. We have a hole when we suffer any trauma, loss of a loved one, we suffer a hole in the soul. Now the problem is people can't see the hole in their soul. They can only see how it manifests. So if we're anxious or stressed or depressed, they treat that. But that's only the facade. It's like a cause and effect. The cause is whatever happened in the past caused a hole in the soul. The effect is how it looks in your life. So if you're overeating, or if you're an alcoholic, or a compulsive gambler, you're picking your fingernails, or you're uh, bipolar, angry all the time, or throwing a tantrum, the mental health professionals treat all those responses, but they're not the problem. The problem is what happened in the past, the hole in the soul. We have to heal the hole in the soul. And because it's in the soul and man can't see it, We can't heal it with medicine. We can't heal it with therapy. We must heal it with a spiritual solution. So for me, that's the Christian God. For you, it might be the Hindu God. For my wife, who's a Buddhist, it would be Buddha. We have to use some spiritual solution to heal the
Mm-hmm.
hole in our soul. And we also have to give that hole back to our younger self. So in my situation, I'm 64 years of age today. And 52 years ago, a 12-year-old, 55 years, 52 years ago, a 12-year-old child suffered a trauma event. But I'm 64 years of age. I didn't suffer a trauma event. I'm 64-year-old man today. All I have is today. So I had my day with my family, and now I've got my day with you. We've got 7 minutes left, so I'm very aware of the time. But it didn't happen to me 50 years ago. So I have to give the details and the baggage of that event back to my younger self. I need a holistic practice to do that. And so I have this second program I was going to talk about another time called Trauma Recovery Anonymous, where you give the past back to yourself, back to your younger self, and they take it from this plane of existence. They step into the light, and that moment, the hole in the soul is gone.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And the way you explain that is really powerful, Richard. It really paints, such a clear picture of what children are experiencing on the inside. And I love how you give language to something so hard to describe because, it only helps us as adults understand them better, but it also honors the depth of what kids are truly feeling.
Same. I could have you on my team. You're fantastic. I could listen to you all day long. Yeah, it's like that. We have to help children, but not just children, grown children. I mean, children in adults' bodies. It affects everybody. Someone can go up into an adult and still be a child inside. I was 27 years of age as an adult, but inside I was a 12-year-old child because I had suffered that trauma. I never grew emotionally and mentally for those 15 years. So I'm walking around as an adult, but I want to be a child. You know, the kind of stuff. I haven't grown mentally and emotionally. So there's adults out there who are withdrawn and isolated and introverted, and they're afraid of being adults because they just never got past the trauma of their childhood. So we have to teach them also it's okay to give it back to your younger self. The truth is, my younger self suffered, endured, survived, and overcame that trauma. And how do I know that? Because I'm alive today. If he hadn't overcome it, he would have killed himself, and I wouldn't be in existence today. The fact that I'm alive today meant he overcame it. And he wants his baggage back so he can leave this plane of existence and step into the light. And it's up to me to give it back to him. That's the honest to God truth. We don't get to bring the past into our present because we're bringing the death and decay and disease of a dead thing into our present, and it destroys everything it touches. You look at people who are veterans or have some sort of trauma from the past, it ruins relationships, destroys job opportunities. The past has no business in the present. It's a dead thing. And any dead thing, you bring a dead animal into a house, it'll cause disease in the house, it'll everything. So you can't bring a dead thing into the present because the present is about life and the dead thing's about the past. We have to give the dead thing back to the past.
Mm-hmm. That's such a beautiful reminder, Richard. Like, you said it's okay to give adults a younger self and, to embrace the younger selves. Again, I love the way you frame it because so many people out there carry that inner child quietly inside, and giving permission to reconnect with them can open up so much compassion, understanding, and even freedom. And you have framed that in a wonderful way.
Thank you very much. Thank you. What I want to say about that, I went down the path of the inner child, and there's one problem I have with that is that we're making decisions for the inner child. Like we think it's a great, we have a play date with our inner child, and we do all these activities with our inner child. But the truth is, our inner child doesn't want to be here. They suffered a trauma. For me, my inner child suffered a trauma 50 years ago, and they want to leave this plane of existence. And they look into the light and they see that our parents who have passed away already are waiting for them to welcome them home. And they want to go and meet my parents and my grandparents and a younger brother who died of leukemia. They want to go and meet them and be with them. And they can't leave until they have their baggage. So I have to let go of my inner child. I have to let my inner child go completely and not form a relationship with my inner child, but form a relationship with some child in the present. Start a family, have children, and give my love to a real live child in the present, not putting it onto an inner child in the past who wants to leave. We've got 3 minutes. I don't want to say too much more. I'm going to stop now if I may.
That really stands out to me, Richard. So this conversation, it really reminds us that healing is not about numbing symptoms but restoring the soul's wholeness. And Richard Tierney has shown us that children's emotions are sacred instincts and can return their pain to the past and walk forward lighter. And to every listener out there, let this be your reminder. Your feelings are not flaws, they're signals guiding you home. Take one step toward healing today because the world needs your whole self.
Saima, thank you very much. I just mentioned the book I've written on this is called How to Live Stress and Anxiety Free 24 Hours a Day. And it's available in every bookstore, Amazon and anywhere else, digital or print. And I could be contacted at appointments at traumarecoveryanonymous.com.